Not sure if anyone can hear me. Just doing a mic check real quick. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Oh yeah, I can hear yourself loud and clear. Utzius, welcome. Thank you everybody for stopping in for tonight's stream. Again, just doing a quick mic check. Let me click out of that browser. All right, I'll bring this one up. Cool. As you can see my keyboard. I actually have my camera covered with it's a sock, believe it or not. And that way you weren't able to see my face. And I clicked live, and as it was going live, I realized I could see my face through myself. So I quickly put that down. So almost had an accidental face reveal. That wouldn't have been. Hey Paul, how's it going? Evil Outcast. Excellent. Thanks for stopping in. Great. Cool bean. Hey, thanks for chilling out with me. Pre-partying, Warrior Princess, Constable Carnage, Luke, PA Nightmares. I'm sure I'm missing a couple of Gothic Rose. Thank you very much for stopping in, hanging out, keeping me company, helping me keep my nerves down. Got about 4 minutes to go before it officially kicks off. And then I'm probably going to give it another couple minutes after that, because it seems like people seem to, file in once they see it's live. It doesn't matter how much I promote or say notifications. YouTube doesn't give out notifications anyway. So I think it's just a matter of people seeing that I am live, and then they start to file in. So I'm going to give it a few minutes after 9, maybe like 9:03 or something like that. We'll kick it off. How's everybody doing today? I got to bring my Oculus to work and show my boss. That was pretty fun. Tells me I can work a half a day today. Says that when my coworker gets there that I'm allowed to leave. Now granted, I work 10-hour days. So I get in there, start my day at 7 o'clock. Boss leaves at 11. Says when my coworker gets there, I can leave. Coworker shows up at like 3. So out of a 10-hour workday, I got to leave 2 hours early. So I guess you call that an early day. I don't know. I still call that full time, but I guess that's me. Cool. Glad everybody's doing fine. Yeah, YouTube's YouTube. I mean, it's a business like everything else, and they make mistakes like everybody else, and things don't work properly, especially when it's all machines and stuff, because a machine is only as good as it works, and they don't always work. Yeah. So that was fun. It was a good day. So then I got out of work, got to keep editing a little bit further on the Locust Lake book. This is still a thing. It's still happening. Still scheduled for on schedule for a mid-July release. I'm hoping to release it. Really, it almost looks like it's planned out, but it wasn't planned out that way. Tomorrow is Breaking the Curse on Locust Lake Part 1, and then next Saturday is Breaking the Curse on Locust Lake Part 2, which happens to fall on 4th of July, which is pretty cool. So I'll be setting off fireworks after we break the curse on Locust Lake for good. And then the following weekend, I'm hoping the book comes out. So it should be a Locust Lake-filled summer. So hitting my vape, looks like it's 9:28. At about 2 minutes, and then another 3 after that, and I'll officially introduce tonight's stream, which is dedicated to all crazy people out there. Yeah, I can't wait either. My channel artist Tamara Fernandez did the cover art for it. I did a little bit of playing around with it, added some things to it, and the cover is squared away. Doughboy's preface and acknowledgments all set and ready to go. I've got there's a 13th exclusive story that is completely written, and I've got 5 of the 13 stories completely final edited. That's like all formatted and spell checked, rephrase things, get rid of repetitive words, that kind of thing. Make it look professional. So I got almost halfway done completely editing the book. Yeah, it's like Lucky 13, just like my second book, also named Cleaving Thought from Bone. That's where I got the name of this channel from. Yes, I'd also had 13 stories in it as well. So seems to be a relatively consistent theme with me. My first book did only have 9 stories in it, but that was for a reason. You'd have to read the book and the final story in that book to understand that reason. I'll just leave that open for now. Possibly crazy like you. I think I'm thinking crazy like a lot of people. Evil Outcast. It's a pretty ambiguous title. That one crazy subscriber. It could pertain to any or all. As you will see, the stories written very much in that fashion. You'll see. I don't want to give away too much. I honestly think you're gonna like this story. This is one of those stories I loved it. This is one of my favorite stories that I've written. And I thought I lost it. I thought I could not find it. It was lost. I could not. I have 3 or 4 unfinished versions, but I could not find the finished version. Ended up finding it on an SD card of all things. So I put it on a folder on my desktop, labeled Lost and Found, and I went on a mission hunting for every single story that I've written that I haven't narrated yet, and I found just about all of them. So we're in good shape. Yeah, I'm glad I found it too. I really think you guys are gonna like this one. It's pretty good. No, not yet, ISB. See, this is why I always wait a couple of minutes after the official kickoff, because there's always a couple of people that file in a couple minutes late. Glad you were able to make it. You're actually right on time. Basically, it's only 9:31. You get paid by well, I have a friend of mine that gets paid by the government to be crazy as well. So, hey man, everybody's gotta be good at something. Yeah, that is the end of me hitting my vape. Cool. 9-2. We'll give it another few final seconds. Oh, my vape. Strawberry banana. I'm either doing that or blueberry pomegranate. It's one or the other. Really like that. I like the blueberry pomegranate, but it gets old after a very long time. I want to change. The strawberry banana, I can just stick with that forever, and it's fine. So I usually vape on the strawberry banana. Yeah, it'd be cool to get paid to be crazy. I think we're all a little crazy. I think I think that's why the title of this story speaks to so many people. It's like naming the main character Johnny Everybody. Sorry. It might have been a little bit cheesy. Dad jokes, but I am a dad, so occupational hazard. Cool. All right, what are we at? 9:33? All right. There we are. Welcome everybody to the live stream. That one crazy subscriber live stream dedicated to you guys. Hope you guys are all having a great Friday. Figured I'd show the face. Everybody see I am here. I'm alive. I survived Locust Lake. Hey, Jose Medina. Glad you were able to make it in. Cool. See, everybody's filing in. Awesome. It's going to be a good one. I like this one. Might be a little bit shorter than some. It's like 18 minutes long, probably for reading, which I guess ain't too bad for a live reading. If I don't have enough content to keep me talking for a full hour, I'm going to be digging into my the to be finished folder, that list of stories I was talking about that I had started and never finished, and probably just reading the beginnings of some of those, just to hear what you guys have to say about it. Maybe I'll finish one or two of them. Dad jokes are the bestest they can be, especially the really cheesy ones. And I am the king of cheesy jokes for sure. Well, I don't know about king. I guess that's a little bit boastful, but good at him. Thank you very much, Bree, for the plug. Yes, please like, share, and subscribe, and all that stuff. I think everybody here probably is a subscriber, but don't forget to share it around. Smash the like button, as every other YouTuber says. But honestly, I hope you guys like the content. I hope you guys like the story. That's what I really want the channel to fly off of. Not the propaganda of the smash that like button. I'm not that guy. I watch those guys, subscribe to those guys, but I'm not like those guys. Hey CCG, how are you? Cool. I guess I'll probably cover up this mic and take a sip of some Mountain Dew, hit my vape real quick, and get ready to read this story. That was a title. Title does have a name on it. I don't think you could see that, but you never know. So we're just gonna push that under the keyboard. All right, cool. Take the mask off. All right. So I'm gonna hit my vape, like I said I was gonna do. I'm not a liar. And drink some soda. Hopefully clear my throat. I did go through and edit this one, so I shouldn't have any trip ups over too much over grammar and punctuation, but I sure I'm gonna mess up quite a few times, so please try to bear with me, okay? Cool. Thing about the vape always gives me dry mouth, like other things. All right. Anyway, so hey Rachel, perfect timing. I was right about to kick off the story. Awesome. Glad you're able to make it and break away from Breath of the Wild. I know it's difficult. It's a very good game. But glad you're able to make it in. Cool. Yeah, there's gonna be mistakes, Bree. I'm sorry. It's gonna happen. All right. I call this one That One Crazy Subscriber. I am a teller of stories. Not only do I read stories, I write them too. Therefore, it should be obvious that I am a fan of narratives. I do, of course, have my preferred genres, most of which reside in the fictional domain. There's just something about getting lost in a good tale, to see and experience the descriptions come to life in one line. A good story can take you anywhere. Yes, I do watch TV, and I'm a movie buff as well, but these give you the images, spoon feeding you the descriptions that are better left to the machinations of cognition. Words, rather than images, evoke the imagination, call upon past experiences, and provide you with a world that is almost as intensely real to the person imagining it as it is personal. It seemed a natural course of action to become a peddler and avid indulger of fiction, spreading these stories through a digital forum. A lasting devotion to this hobby has even provoked those with like interests to send me their personal works for the purposes of said digital delivery, typically accomplished via narration and upload to either YouTube or SoundCloud. For the most part, I encourage this behavior. After all, what kind of horrible person would I be to stifle someone else's creativity? And the fringe rewards reaped from cultivating budding authors is nothing short of an honor. Well, enthusiasm breeds little foresight, and I may have gotten myself into more than I had originally understood. I will leave the identity of the individual who submitted these stories anonymous, for reasons that I'm sure will be inferentially obvious. I didn't realize that there was a problem right away. Over the past year, I've had a lot of work submitted to me, and I don't watch much television because of career associated time restraints. So, how could I know? But all in all, maybe I should pardon my own ignorance. But that seems a little too self gratifying. Either way, I'm so. Either way, I suppose there's no harm in submitting the holistic experience anymore. And actually, I did once already have the first of these stories narrated and ready for publication. But with insights I'll get into later, the whys of previous decisions are meaningless now. So, without holding back, here's where it began. Voyeurism by Anonymous. Stephen sat on the bus, staring out the window and at the images that passed him by. The world outside raced past, but not fast enough. He was in a hurry to get home, eager to begin what he perceived to be a rewarding nightlife that he led online during his off hours. Work was droll and interactions mundane. It seemed to him that for some reason, interesting people only existed within that digital cyberspace. Stephen heard this. Excuse me. Stephen heard the sound of squealing brakes and the inertia that carried him forward as the bus slowed. The 105 had finally brought him to his destination, about a half a block away from his dismal one-bedroom apartment, in which he resided alone. Stephen hurried from his seat and the few hundred feet to his doorstep, but he never expected to find the gift left for him a few feet from his front door, an unmarked VHS cassette. Stephen's mind couldn't process what it was perceiving at first. The film began benign and unassuming, much like a home movie. But it wasn't long before a more sinister notion was considered, motivated by obvious purposes of the scenes playing out before him. There was first footage of a man walking down the street, then the same man on a different street, captured from within a moving car as it drove by, and then, finally, of the same man walking towards the camera from a great distance, before the camera's view shifted to that of an outside door. Stephen didn't recognize the man, or the door, or any of the other images as well. The video jump cut to a door being opened to reveal a moderate-sized living room. A small aperture led to what Stephen assumed to be a hallway on the left, and whoever was holding the camera crept slowly towards it. As they did, an object lifted into view, apparently held by the same person taking the footage and holding the camera. Only a small portion was Only a small portion was visible at first, flat, dark, almost black, and with an almost unnoticeable shine, like wrought iron. A few steps further, and Stephen identified the object as the head of an axe. Just as this concept had been realized, before it could truly be processed, the man who had been in all the scenes up until this one came from around the corner of the hallway, jumped backward, and shrieked in fright at the sight of whomever was holding the camera. Stephen desperately wished he could close his eyes as the head of the axe was buried deep into the man's skull, spraying blood and spurting fountains all over the walls and the camera's lens. What came next was a gruesome ballet of dismemberment, depravity, and apathy. There was so much blood at first. Stephen believed it would be some sort of elaborate prank, maybe played by some college film students attending the university only a few blocks away. Disgusted but ensnared by intrigue, Stephen fast-forwarded through much of what came after. What he saw was so astonishing, he had to stop and watch it play out a few times along the way. Always different people, some male, some female, old, young. It didn't seem to matter. But all were followed in different scenes and contexts by the camera before being brutally axed to death behind closed doors. When Stephen reached near the end of the tape, he stopped and played once again. This time, his breath hitched in his throat and his stomach turned. The events were the same, and the person different. But there was something notably unique about this one. He recognized the man being followed. It was him. It was him going to work in the morning. It was him getting on the bus and taking a seat from outside the window. It was him walking down the road towards his house before the camera turned and focused for a few still moments on his front door. Sweat rolled from Stephen's brow as he now felt the pressures of overwhelming doom and regret. The TV turned to static, and behind the noise, Stephen could hear the creak of his previously closed front door. Of course, Of course, my first reaction to this story was pretty positive. Sure, it could have used a bit more detail and development, but all in all, it was a pretty fun read, worth the time I invested in doing so. In fact, I was astonished at the author's improvement over their previous piece, which I don't mind saying read like it had been written by a 5-year-old. This barely seemed to be constructed by the same hand, but all the same, good. So I even went as far as to narrate it and file it for a later upload to my website. After which, I sent an email to the author regarding how impressed I was over the improvements of his style, giving him the friendly critiques that I've already mentioned in a constructive context, and thanked him for his hard work. Nothing special. I honestly didn't see any of this coming. A week or so had passed, and lo and behold, another submission from the same author lingered in my inbox. I eagerly clicked on the subject line like a kid opening a present, excited to see if the story was good. Excited to see if the story was as good as his last. And if so, would he have incorporated the feedback that I had provided? Batman's misery. Depression. I feel so angry. School makes me angry. School makes me sad. It hurts every day. When I wake up, I feel pain. When I go to sleep, it's to the gentle caress of misery. Agony is my life. They hate me, and so I hate them back. I can't help but feel nauseous every day that I am herded into that school alongside of the rest of the mindless, driveling cattle that call themselves civilized. It's no wonder I venture here so often, that I revel in the isolation and tranquility of the forest. Or maybe it's just the seclusion from prying and judgmental eyes. The first time I saw them, I felt dread. Dread like I had never known. A darkness of the blackest abyss that seemed to gnaw at my very soul, devouring bits of it, sliver by sliver. The maws of so many caves, like a semblance of giant, yawning mouths, making me feel small and insignificant at both their size and the thought of what could reside within their gullets. When I heard the sound of crying, a man's sobs echoing from deep within the cavernous dark, that fear began to grow inside me exponentially. But the buds of curiosity were there too, entangled around my fear, growing with it until, even surprising to me, equal with each other. I foolishly crept my way inside, full of awe and dread in harmony. But the darkness had only a moment to consume me, only a few shaking steps in trepidation, and he approached me. Why he did, what he was, why he was in there to begin with, none of it mattered. And I knew that the sensation from that cold grip felt like nothing less than the icy clasp of death itself. Now, maybe it hijacked my mind, placed me in a calmer state. Maybe we share similar interests and visions. But in that moment, I knew what those sorrowful, gleaming white eyes, accompanied by a dangling slack jaw, pointed ears like some sort of demon, and wide, flattened-nosed beast needed, and I was compelled to abide and offer my assistance. Friends I never had, a family that never loved, and a few I barely knew at all. The bodies were found in one of those caves, and the state of the remains was enough to nearly traumatize an entire police force and sicken a coroner to the point of vomiting, needing several moments to collect his composure. Most of the missing were identified, as bits of each corpse were correlated with one another, until collections of remains lay in heaps with labels, piles of necrotic flesh and bone, eventually assigned an identity, each with notable scrape marks across pieces of bones, as if created by sharp teeth. What bothers me most, however, they never knew what that starving, isolated, sorrowful creature of despair and malice looked like, because they never found it. Now, I did like this story. Don't get me wrong. As a story, it's really good. It's composed with great attention to It's composed with great attention paid to emotional context and seemed slightly more detailed than the last piece in this sense. What rubbed me as disturbing here was the ending. I don't watch the news much, but like it is with most of you, it's hard to ignore a breaking news story once it floods such digital forums as Facebook and Twitter. It just so happened that the day before, I read something about a bunch of bodies being found in some caves in the woods of South Carolina. If the police had any leads, they weren't letting on about it, and the only details gained were that the corpses were all those of young children, with the final count, after the various body parts had been grouped together by individual, were thought to be around the vicinity of 23. But the hundreds of small scraps and bits were likely to reveal several more. For the sake of being tactful, I thought it would be in poor taste to post this story right away, but I did lend its details to my wife. Not only did she agree that I should wait, but found it to be slightly more than coincidental. What you have to understand is that my wife views all of my work as I share it, either her personally or before. What you have to understand is that my wife views all of my work as I share it either personally, far before I release it publicly, or with her as I do. So, She had listened to the first story, the one I had finished and was ready to publish that day. She told me she had also seen a queer news article on a popular media site about a man found in his home, brutally murdered in front of his TV. The state of origin: South Carolina. A demented thought wormed its way into my brain, making me cringe in pleading desperation. I had to know. Going first to my trusty laptop, I emailed the author, relaying the relevant details and promoting either mutual astonishment and a laugh at coincidence or a terrible truth. What I received an hour later confirmed the dastardly deeds, surprising even to me as my own creation. That is, he told me he simply took my advice, taking to heart when I told him to write what he knows. The fact that he's staging his own stories doesn't really horrify me. It just honestly pisses me off that he would steal my idea. And that is that one crazy subscriber. So I am sorry for the screw ups that were in there. Some were frequent, some weren't. I really, really hoped you guys liked that one. Yeah, little double twist there at the end. I know that, maybe the plot twist of he's staging the story, someone might have seen that coming, but really wanted to add in that hook at the end. I love this one. It reminds me a lot of you guys. Cool. All right, I'm gonna take a sip of soda, hit my vape, maybe even prepare a smokable. We'll do some talking, and like I said, if I don't have enough content to keep me busy for talking to you guys for the next. I'm glad you liked it. I'm really glad you guys did. But yeah, if like I said, if I don't have enough content, I'll dig into my not finished folder and I'll read off some titles of some stories that I haven't finished. And keep in mind, these are working titles. Like one of the stories is called Space Ghost. Like I am fully aware that there is a like already a space ghost. there's comics and TV shows and like I'm aware of that. It's just a working title. So a lot of these titles, might sound cool, might sound cheesy, might sound completely nuts. The story's about, but they're working titles. That's why. Really glad you liked it. Really, really glad you guys liked the story. I will be repurposing this for an upload too on maybe tomorrow or something like that. It feels good to wet the esophagus. Hey Kim, glad you were able to make it. It was good to take a breather. So I hope everybody's excited for tomorrow's premiere, Breaking the Curse on Locust Lake Part 1. I know there's probably some people in this in here in the chat tonight that have seen all the Locust Lakes and probably remember those stories. But what's really cool and exciting to me also is not just being able to get them back out there for everyone that did like them and now they are completely gone, which does really suck, but there's also people that have never heard these stories before. So I'm just really, really excited to get these last two. A lot of love went into them. Lot of effects, lot of voice acting. Tomorrow's story is 47 minutes long. So be prepared, bring popcorn, bring a soda, all that stuff. And then the following weekend will be Breaking the Curse on Locust Lake Part 2, and that one is almost an hour. So again, might want to order a pizza. Excellent. Thank you, Utzius. I'm glad that you're still working on it, and in that respect, I'm still very much looking forward to having a look at it. Yeah. The playlist is up, and every one of the Locust Lake stories in the description has a link to the playlist, and the playlist is them in chronological order, not the order in which I released them. So, like, you'll know that like the origins of Locust Lake didn't come out until after Cold Silence in the Black Woods, which is where we first introduced the Lady of the Water, and then we came out with the origins of Locust Lake, which chronologically is the first story in the series, but it explains where she came from. So the Legends of Locust Lake playlist, though, will have them in chronological order. So it's going to start with the origins of Locust Lake and eventually move all the way through breaking the curse. So it should be so next weekend should be this weekend should be epic, and so should next weekend. Again, a lot of work. And then afterwards, I am bringing back Not All Heroes Wear Capes. That story again is basically done. I just got to do my acting skits for it and get that uploaded. But the video itself, music, sound effects, all that stuff, it's all done. And is that one? No, that one's not a collab. It's not a collab, but it is a series. It's a 6-part series. There are 5 parts written already, I believe, and Dobo will have the 6th to me by the time I need to have them all uploaded, which I'm hoping will be. I want to be at least 2 part 5 by the middle of October. We'll put it that way. And there are reasons behind that, but I have had to keep those to myself for now. Unfortunately, it's just channel surprises. When you take something away from everyone and you plan on giving it back to them, you don't want to tell them you're giving it back. That's all I can say. Oh, there's Halloween falls on a Saturday this year. I would have done a Halloween, even like last year, Halloween fell on a Sunday, on a Monday. So like I did all the Saturday uploads and then I did an extra upload for Monday. So this year there won't be an extra upload because Halloween happens to fall on a Saturday. But yes, the Saturday upload of the Halloween upload will be a Halloween special. And I actually already have the intro made and the story is already selected. It's going to be epic. That's all I can say. Yeah, it's going to be good. But yeah, Locust Lake book is coming along well. Book got the other paperbacks. They're still up and available. I do apologize for the channel merch. It's like every day, hey, I got merch available. Oh no, I don't. Hey, I got merch available. Oh, it's only in Europe. So I am trying to get the merch up. Just seems that every avenue I take just doesn't end up panning out. So I'll try to stop posting though until I'm absolutely sure that the merch is up. So I stop getting everybody's hopes up. But one of the things that is currently in the works is that the Cleaving Thought from Bone boxer shorts and training bras. So I don't know if any of you guys out there want training bras, but there will be boxer shorts available. Hoodies and t-shirts actually are already available in Europe. Unfortunately, even I can't get my hands on one, which I think is kind of funny. But as soon as the pandemic lifts, you guys will have channel merch available, and so will I. Yeah, COVID-19 is definitely Mr. Buzz Killington. Let's look at some drawings of the coronavirus. That was pretty funny. My wife is preparing the smokable. So until then, I figured I would just face, and then maybe afterwards I'll go through that lost and found folder and read off some names. Yeah, I actually would like some Cleaving Thought from Bone boxers as well. I'll do a story about the well. I could, but I think I'm gonna wait until the sensitivity dies down. It's like doing a 9/11 story like a week after 9/11. Hey, I gotta wait. Cool. All right. So things are prepared. I'm gonna go ahead and put the thing back on. Just want to let you guys know I'm still alive. I'm still here, rocking the Friday the 13th shirt. Sweet beans. I agree with you, Bree. Especially you know, currently. Well, it's not that people suck, because people. People like to think of themselves as separate from animals, not having instincts and primitive, behaviors and stuff like that. We're no different. We're just a human animal. So anyway, while I'm puffing on this and discussing philosophy, let me open up this lost and found or not finished folder. So it looks like I've got a few in here. 58 crates. That's one. I've actually tried writing that twice, and eventually I'm going to finish it. I think the story idea is there. It's good, and I love the title, 58 crates. So there's that. I have Ghost Lady Follows Me is another one. Imaginary Friend, Looking for Roommates in All the Wrong Places, My Favorite Pet, Nano, Next Story 2, not sure what that one is, One for the Money, Space Ghost, That Smile, The Pen, The Rot, and Vigilante to Killer. So those are the titles of the stories, the working titles of the stories that I started and never finished. So if any one of those titles jumped out at you, you want me just to go ahead and read the beginning of it up until where I got, I'll go ahead and I'll read it verbatim. You just be careful, Kim, please. Working in the hospital and stuff. I know you're doing everything you got to do to keep yourself safe. Just make sure you keep doing it. And thank you for working on the front lines and keeping the rest of us healthy and safe and all the rest. Big props. Cool beans. You guys can still hear me, right? Oh, actually, I saw an and yes, be safe, Kim. So must be along with me. And yes, cool. Can hear me. Absolutely. Sweet beans. I don't know. Might have to pick one of these out at random. I already read them up. I don't want to read them again. Cool. All right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 58 crates. I don't know. I think that was the most done. I'm actually going to do this fair, and I'm going to use a random number generator. I got 16 titles there, and if it's one that I can't read, like Next Locust Lake Story, like that one, I'm just going to go to the one below it. So random number between 1 and 16. 13. Yeah, it's fitting. Mm, 15, 14. That smile. Mm, I don't know why I just brought this up in Microsoft Word. I have to give it a second to load. And I no longer have a subscription, so I can't edit anything. Should have pulled it up in Google Docs. I wasn't thinking. No biggie. It's loaded. We're good. How long is it? One page, probably about 5 minutes long. All right. So I don't even remember this at all. I have no idea how stupid this is or how good it is or whatever. So please bear with me. All right. That smile. I am an author, or at least I like to consider myself one. I more or less do it as a hobby, not doing much more than publish my works on free access public sites such as Reddit. A few years ago, my parents both passed on. My father, I think, from grief over my mother. The thing is, they left me, well, not quite a fortune, but a completely paid for home with minimal land taxes and a sizable amount of money. Not enough so that I can live like a millionaire or anything, but enough so I can pretty much work part time, doing just about anything, and meet any financial obligations with ease. Well, with this considerable amount of free time I was allotted, I began following a passion of mine. Not quite ghost hunting, more like legend reporting, if there is such a thing. I had an interest in the horrific and macabre since before I can remember, and driving out to these infamous locations and writing about my experiences quickly became an all but life consuming event for me. You see, though, the thing is, recently I ran into what you would call a snag. I couldn't think of or locate any place to investigate. Essentially, running out of locations. Sure, you can find something about any place. But since this is a personal hobby, I only go to the places that really interest me. Places like abandoned amusement parks, rumored to have sideshow attractions still roving the grounds, or isolated closed down mental asylums said to be inhabited by the spirits of truly tortured souls. So, after a few weeks of digging around for something suitable to my likings and coming through with nothing, I tried networking with a few people, mostly just random users on related horror themed Facebook groups. Some welcomed the idea of my interests with open arms, others would block me instantly. Still, that is where I met Daniel, and that is who I heard. Mm-mm. And that is who this story is about. Daniel was one of these random people I met on Facebook. He told me he had a killer true story to tell me, his words, but didn't want to text me the details. Said it would be much less time consuming to recount the events in person, in a face to face encounter. Okay, now I know most of you wouldn't even ponder this idea, and you wouldn't be wrong, especially with all the creepos lurking around the internet these days. But I'm no small dude, and I figured that if he were to try anything, I could probably handle my own. I also assumed that if I were to end up in any sort of ambush situation, that I would realize it beforehand and just hightail it out of there. I mean, if I got an inkling of one of those premonitions that something dreadful was about to occur, I would just turn tail. Looking back now, I realize I should have heeded my own reservations, as many of you likely would have. Still, hindsight is 2020, and I'm known for being somewhat reckless. I will say that now it's pretty easy to I will say now it's pretty easy to say that I've been shown the error of my ways and have learned my lesson. But at the time, I simply decided, what the hell? Took down the guy's address and contact info, arranged a date on which to meet, and left it at that. I was headed over to his home on the following evening. Plenty of time for me to prepare for the long drive, about 3.5 hours in total by the time I figured in stops for gas and calls of nature. I didn't call him the following afternoon. Just, actually, I was wrong. I did call him the following afternoon just to affirm our appointment. Once I got confirmation, I locked the door and pulled out from the drive, watching my house shrink and disappear. While I traveled down the lonesome interstate that I had entered onto at about 4:30, my mind raced with anticipation over what terrifying tale could be so profound that I was convinced to drive the vast distance to his home. Dan told me it was personal, something that had happened to him, and something researchable in regards to the victims involved. He assured me that he was older and somewhat frail, that he lived in a suburban area inhabited by droves of local children and happy families. I assumed that if it was if I assumed that if it was like he described, and his story was significant as he promised, then the long drive would likely be worth it. Either way, it would all make for a pretty good story to be spun. And that's what I had so far from the smile, or that smile. That's it. That's as far as I got. I believe the reason I stopped this one now that I read through it is I felt like after that 5 minute reading, the story didn't go anywhere. And I felt like I was just rereading The Familiar. The Familiar is written in very much the same way, it has very similar intro. I can see why I didn't finish this, because it would be the same story. I mean, not the same story, but the intro is the same. So, like, the first 10, 15 minutes is very, and I know there's a lot of stories out there that probably have like introductions and stuff like that, but I do try to make them unique. Anyways, if this is something you guys want me to finish, if it was interesting to you, by all means, let me know. I mean, I definitely could pick it up. I think I know where I was going with this. But yeah, looks like we still got another 15 minutes. I'm going to close this one out and I'll go ahead and just, I'll read through the titles again. Like I said, if one jumps out at you, let me know. If not, I'll use the random number generator and we'll get it done. Yeah, I mean, if you guys liked that story, that smile, I can finish it. It's not a problem. It was probably going to be a longer one, like The Familiar was like 30 minutes long, and it wasn't going to be the same thing. Like The Familiar, the guy drove out to the middle of the woods and told him a story about the woods. This was going to be different. It was going to be, in a suburban environment. The story was going to be different. The monster was going to be different. The ending was going to be different. So I mean, it was going to be different, but the setup was very, very similar. And I think that's why I moved away from it. And if I'm going to rewrite it, or if I'm going to finish it, like, I'm going to use that beginning. If I'm going to rewrite it from the beginning to end, I'm just going to probably just write a whole new story, which is basically what it would be. So, 58 crates. You want me to read that? Let's see what I got. This one might be okay. This one's probably about half as long, probably about 2.5 minutes. We'll see what I have. Yeah, no, if you guys enjoyed it, if you were intrigued and you were into that intro of that smile and like you wanted to hear more, you wanted to hear what that guy wanted to say, if it's something like you would be interesting in listening to, by all means, yeah, I'll definitely finish it. That's not a problem at all. So let me grab a sip of my soda and I will read 58 crates parentheses again because this was the second attempt at 58 crates. And I know why I stopped this one. Excuse me. See, the first 58 crates, I had the same problem as with the last, excuse me again, with the story I last read. It seemed to go on without really going anywhere quick enough. And so I started 58 crates over. Cut out a lot of the jargon, started moving along with it faster, started doing good. And then my stalker from my 1999 side series or whatever got a hold of me, and I dropped what I was doing and immediately wrote the next 1999 Sabian Lockhart story and just never returned to this. So this actually might be halfway decent. I don't know. It's only a half a page long, though. Clear my throat. I'm not voice cracking while I'm trying to read. All right. Yeah, I'm spinning back and forth, grabbing my soda, trying to turn away from my microphone so I'm not coughing in your ear like that. Mountain Dew went down the wrong pipe. All right. This one is called 58 Crates. So, I used to work nights for a warehouse as a custodian and partial inventory specialist. Basically, my duties included the usual janitorial work, including vacuuming, mopping, emptying trash and recycling bins, scrubbing employee bathrooms, and all the various other tasks all the various other tasks associated with this line of employment. But because of the bad economy and lack of available workers, I live in a very rural area, I was charged with the occasional bookkeeping and balancing. The extra demands weren't very demanding in actuality, and once I had gotten my rundown, what we custodians coin our nightly routine, I typically had time to spare. Sure, I couldn't play Angry Birds or Minecraft Explorer Lite on my phone as much anymore, but in all honesty, filling in the time gaps with mind numbing nonsense for hours at a time has a way of making the workday or night drag on. Plus, my wages nearly doubled, and working third shift in a closed facility, there was no one to bother me. I was the guy who patrolled the grounds, cleaned, and kept stock of the grounds while, the way it seemed to me, the rest of the world, the entire world, slept. I really enjoyed that job. But after what happened, I had to quit. It started out, it's, excuse me, tap dancing dog running by. It started out as a night much like many before it. The roads alive with an infrequent bustle of countryside at 9 p.m. Wow, excuse me, I missed a word in there. I have to. The roads alive with the infrequent bustle of the night countryside at 9 p.m. The kind of place where one car constitutes as traffic. So I could say traffic was heavy, but in relation to the quaintness of the area. People were gathering their last minute things before heading home for the night of People were gathering their last minute things before heading home for a night of rest before work the next day, while I was on my way to begin my own. I'm not going to lie. There's no point in doing that here, so to be blunt, I smoke a lot of pot, and that night was no exception. When I arrived at the place at the beginning of my shift, there is a few lingering employees that don't leave until about 10 p.m. That night, I had smoked a lot of pot on the way in and decided to hotbox the car. For those of you that don't know, that's where you toke up in an enclosed area in an attempt to get high and catch a contact from. Excuse me, let me reread that. That's where you toke up in an enclosed area in an attempt to both get high and catch a contact from yourself at the same time. Immature, I know, but I'm not sugarcoating anything here. And that's as far as I got with 58 crates again. That's where it left off. It didn't really get anywhere into something creepy. Probably wouldn't have again for another at least a half a page. Has something to do with 58 crates and a guy that does cleaning and inventory. So I'll leave that one to your imagination. But this one I probably will finish just because I'm adamant. It's something I have been trying to get done for quite a while. So it looks like I still got 7 minutes. So if you guys want me to read another short one, I can. I know my favorite pet. Everyone wanted me to at one. I know my favorite pet. Everyone wanted me to at one point. That one seems a bit longer. It's about as long as the first one, about 5 minutes. If you guys wanted me to read that. 158 crates. Hell yeah. Like I said, I'd love to write more 58 crates, Spree. I think that one's going to end up happening for sure. It's just a matter of also I've got to get, my old stuff uploaded to a point. So, because a lot of the stuff eventually ties in together, like the Dreamscapes and the Locust Lakes actually end up coming together. So I've got to get the Dreamscapes up before we get that far. But I've got to do some more brand new stories for the channel too here pretty quick, because I am down to about 50 stories left to read, and I've got about 50 stories of Doughboys. So I've only got like another year and a half of stories left to read. Only. Okay. All right. We'll read my favorite pet. It's about 5 minutes long. This will probably be the last one for the night. Let me hit my vape one more time. That just tasted very good. Love that strawberry banana. All right. I called this one my favorite pet. It was dark and musty, the air thick with the smells of hay and animal excrement. I made sure not to turn on a single light and keep as quiet as I could, hoping to avoid being detected by my parents. I knew I wasn't supposed to be in here, and if they caught me again, I'd be in big trouble for sure. And Daddy is very scary when he's angry. It was broad daylight outside at the time, so a light within the barn would have likely gone unnoticed. But I wasn't going to take any chances. There weren't many windows in the barn, and the ones that were either very dirty or very small, blockading most of the light trying to gain entrance, the glass nearly completely opaque. Try as I might to be quiet, the animals certainly noticed my presence, for I could hear them rustling and making quiet sounds from beyond the wooden, slatted, gate-like doors to their pens. I loved them so much. To me, they were like pets, but Dad said they were food and that I shouldn't get attached. Even then, I figured he was right, because when we had to slaughter one for its meats and other resources, I did feel sodden with grief. Still, I couldn't help but feed my curiosity and wonder as a child. The gratification of my needs had to be met sooner than later. So, no matter how many times I was told to stay out of the barn, I never really listened. We lived in the middle of nowhere, literally, so I had no friends. There was no house, road, or another like us for miles, just endless forest, meadows, and heaving hills that they grazed. I had no siblings, and Mom and Dad didn't talk much to me or each other. It really was a very lonesome existence. A creaking sound emanated from the door behind me. I knew that it had to be pulled open, which meant only one thing. I'd been caught. I turned to see who it was, hoping it wasn't my father. A tall shadow with slender ankles stretched on to the ground past where I was crouched. Before I had landed sight on her, I knew it was my mother. I breathed a sigh of relief as she rushed out of the barn, I breathed a sigh of relief as she rushed me out of the barn, scolding me for my disobedience. Sure, I had gotten in trouble, sent up to my room until supper, but at least it hadn't been my father. My punishment would have been surely much more severe. So, now, literally locked in my room, the only escape that remained for me was psychological. The window in my room being the only portal to the outside world that remained. Mama told me once that there exists such a machine that creates moving pictures, but I don't really believe her. I've never seen one, and the concept seems a little ridiculous to me, like tales of magic and fantasy. But in moments like these, the magic of fantasy and imagination were all I had, and in these times I indulged them. What else was out there beyond those endless forests? Surely a whole world existed somewhere beyond them. The majesty of expanse and wonder filled my head with these thoughts until I lost track of time so fervently that I had realized how late it had become until the sun. That I hadn't realized how late it had become until the sun had begun to set behind the tree lined horizon. The sky had turned a shade of deep purple, the first few stars only beginning to emerge from the enveloping dark void, nearly black, by the time I was told to come downstairs for dinner. Mama was the one to collect me, and it was she I followed downstairs to the table. When I rounded the corner to land sight on my chair, I noticed that this was another of what Mama called Daddy's special nights. Daddy sat at the head of the table, his chair between the exterior wall and the table. Mama sat behind him. Excuse me. Mama sat beside him to his left, and I to his right, the two of us across from one another. But today, as with so many infrequent previous occurrences, was one of the barn animals bound to a chair at the other end of the table, to the right of me and directly across from Daddy's seat. I could tell by her hair and heaving chest that she was female, and from her size, full grown. Someone had bound her mouth with rags and rope so as to stifle the loud noises that they made. No one had to tell me that Daddy was the one that had dragged her in and bound her to the chair at the table. Mommy and Daddy said that they couldn't feel anything, that they didn't think and feel like we did. But I wasn't so sure. I could clearly see despair and hopelessness in the eyes when... excuse me. I could clearly see despair and hopelessness in their eyes when Mama or Daddy would try to free them. When Mama or Daddy would try to feed them, or when one of them was slaughtered in a place where another could see it happen. Mommy and Daddy assured me of their truths, but I had my speculations. Neither of them have always been entirely truthful, both prone to deceit, to expand their gain. That's as far as I got with that. I think I stopped this one because I felt the story was too predictable. I think that you knew what my favorite pet. I mean, the title explains what the story is. I don't know. I could finish this one too. I don't see why not. Did you guys like it? Like, let me know. I know there's like a delay and stuff, but like, yeah, let me know if you guys liked this one, my favorite pet. I don't know. Writing it, I guess I didn't like it, but now that I went back and read it, so far so good to me. Like, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, so what did we read tonight? Yeah, hell yes. We read 58 crates, my favorite pet, and that smile. So like, if you guys want me to finish any or all of these stories or any particular one, whatever it is, make sure to comment down below. I'd like to know what you think. I'd like to get feedback from you guys. This is actually really good because some of these stories I'd like to finish. Some of them I'm kind of on the fence with. Like I could. It's good enough. But I don't know if you guys would like it. I like it, and typically what I like, you guys seem to like. But again, I just want to make sure you guys are getting really quality content. So. Yeah, that's good. I'm glad you guys liked it. It's the first time hearing that story. I've never narrated it. I've never finished it. That was it's a page long. But yeah, if you guys want me to finish any or all of these stories, I'll gladly do it. It'll be Won't be too hard. It'll be a pretty easy thing. What are we? 10:34. Oh yeah, cool. Well, we made it over the hour mark, guys. Fantastic. Um, so yeah, if you guys want me to finish any of these stories that you heard me, read out of my not finished folder, by all means, go ahead and leave the comments down below. Finish, finish it, make it crazy. I can. That was the idea with my favorite pet. It was going to be pretty crazy. I think the reason is I don't have a twist ending for it. Like the whole thing is predictable. Like at least the way I was going, I know what I was going to do with it, and it was writing itself. I get that now, but it's going in a very predictable way, in a very predictable direction. So if I'm going to finish my favorite pet, I need to find a twist, and I'll come up with one. If you guys want me to finish it, I will come up with a twist. But yeah, yeah, please do so. Yeah, I'm glad. Yeah, I'm glad you guys liked that one. Okay, cool. All right, good. So awesome. Yeah, I like the title. That's like that one's a working title, but that one was probably going to end up being the actual title to the story. My favorite pet. So yeah, yeah, I think that's a good title for it. Oh yeah, no, it's not that. I can come up with a twist, Bree. It's the double twist. Because even some people are going to guess the twist. It happens. But if I have two twists, like in that one crazy subscriber, the twist is that the guy was staging his own work. The double twist is, so am I. Dude stole my idea. But that's the one you don't see coming. That's the sucker punch. So, and it's that I always try to deliver on the last line. But a lot of the times the stories they reveal it to me as I write it. It's there as I finish the story. Last line, boom, tells it what the whole story was about. So I think I could do it with this. Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think I can do it. I think I can. Cool. So I hope you guys are excited for the new Locust Lake book that's coming out. I hope to see you guys tomorrow for the Breaking the Curse on Locust Lake Part 1, featuring Creepy Clown Girl, Swamp Dweller, Pennytails Up, Spirit Voices, Doughboy 420, Pockets Lockhart. There's Ray Bob's in it. Like it's just going to be epic. There's so many voice lines. There's so many voice effects, and it's a roller coaster ride. So yeah, I hope you guys are going to end up seeing that tomorrow and seeing me tomorrow. We'll pre-party. We'll live chat, and then the following weekend, 4th of July, is part 2. We'll celebrate some independence from the curse from Locust Lake after we break it and blow some stuff up. That'll be a good time. I'll actually be at Locust Lake for that story on 4th of July, so that'll be that'll be pretty funny. But yeah, so I'm really glad you guys stopped in. I'm really, really, really happy you guys liked this live stream. Honestly, I think this is probably one of the better ones that I've done so far. Maybe I'm getting better at live streaming. I don't know. But yeah, glad I got the chance to share some of these stories that I've started with you. Get some feedback. That's something I typically do. I don't like to reveal a work of what I consider like, creating a world, a work of art, whatever it is, until it's done. I don't like people seeing the unfinished product. But in this case, in these ones anyway, I think it went pretty well. So cool. Yeah, love you guys. Thanks a ton for coming in. Thanks a ton for hanging out with me. Glad you guys enjoyed the stories. Glad you guys enjoyed everything. Make sure to leave comments down below. Love to read comments. You guys know that. I'm always replying to you. I'll see you guys on Twitter. I'll see you guys on the Discord. By the way, if you guys don't know, there is a Discord. So yeah, make sure you I'll post the link for that in the description as well. And yeah, make sure you join up and we can hang out and chat all week long while we wait for the next story. So cool. Again, we'll really happy you guys stopped in, and I guess we'll see you next time. Keep it creepy. Bye-bye.